students. This presentation is going to go over some of the key information you need to know to write Essay 4. Let's look at the prompt. Your task is to perform a close reading and analysis of the novel There, There, and produce an argumentative essay on one of the themes within the novel. Here are some themes to consider provided by Professor Garza: violence, drug addiction, alcoholism, suicide, internet addiction, family dysfunction, and environmental circumstances. You may choose one or two of these topics, and should you come up with a theme of your own, you need to email Professor Garza immediately for approval. You will need to explain the significance of your chosen theme to the identity of key characters within the novel, and argue how your particular theme is used by Tommy Orange to examine the experience of modern urban Native Americans. You will need to provide support for your thesis in the form of direct quotations from all 4 sections of the novel. So at a minimum, you will have 4 direct quotations. There are no outside sources required for this essay, so your focus will be on the novel There, There alone. Once you have selected your theme or themes, you will need to start considering how to construct your thesis. Keep in mind that theme is a rhetorical device used by writers to craft their story. Your essay will explain how Orange uses this rhetorical device in his novel and how it affects the characters. Even though this is a work of fiction, it does represent elements of reality, so you will also explain how Orange is using this device to show what is happening in Native American communities today. Here are just a few examples of how you might construct your thesis. In these examples, the brackets represent where you would insert your theme, the braces represent where the character names would go, and the parentheses represent where you would insert your consequence or result. So in example 1 is a basic 2-part thesis where you discuss what your theme is and the result it has had in today's communities. Example number 2 is more of a 3-part thesis where you indicate what your theme is, what characters have been affected, and how this represents what is going on in today's society. And example 3 is also a 3-part thesis that contains the characters' names that you will be examining, the theme you have selected, as well as the consequences it has had on both the characters in the novel, as well as Native American peoples today. Here are a few notes about theme. Theme is not simply the topic or subject of the literary work, but rather a statement that the text seems to be making about the topic. So as I said in the previous slide, theme is a rhetorical device that a writer uses to convey their story. So you'll want to focus on it as if it's a tool that Orange is using to tell you a story. It's not necessarily about the overall topic. So like the topic of this book would be Native American culture or the powwow. Themes are more subtle and can change from chapter to chapter, whereas the topic is more overarching and stays consistent throughout the novel. So as you focus on your theme, make sure that you're doing it to analyze what Orange is trying to do within the story and how it represents what's happening in today's society. You also don't want to do a lot of summarizing in your essay. Everyone who is going to read your essay has also read the novel, so you don't need to spend a lot of time in your paragraphs giving a detailed book report of what's happening within the narrative. Let's look at organization. Here are just 2 suggestions of how you might organize your essay. I would recommend that you either do a character analysis or an overall chronological analysis. So if you choose to do a character analysis where you focus on each character one at a time and then have a paragraph where you explain how the theme affected them from beginning to end within that paragraph, or focus on the different elements of the theme and how it affects each character chronologically throughout the narrative. Make sure that each paragraph has a topic sentence that refers back to the thesis by staying focused on the key pieces of your argument. And make sure that you stay focused on the rhetorical device of theme and how it is used in the novel. So here in example 1, I have a basic information about how to organize your paper by character. So I would select several characters that are either initially affected by your theme or a bystander of your theme. So one example would be if I was writing about the theme of alcoholism, I could write about several of the characters who struggle with alcoholism, and I could also write about the character who was directly affected by his mother being an alcoholic. So those are just some options for character analysis. The other organizational structure that I mentioned has to do with organizing your paper by elements of the theme in the 4 sections. So you could break your paper up into roughly 4 paragraphs where you start with the first section of the book and you analyze how the theme is set up in that first section and then how the theme evolves throughout the novel. So the example I gave was violence. Elements of violence might be domestic violence, gang violence, self-inflicted violence, etc. So there's just a couple of ways that you can do this essay depending on what your theme is and what you are comfortable with. And finally, we have the requirements for the essay. So this essay must be 4 full pages, meaning to the bottom of page 4. As always, it should be double-spaced, Times New Roman 12-point font. You need to follow all of the MLA guidelines for your document itself, for your in-text citations, as well as for your works cited page. And your essay must be in an academic third-person point of view. I hope this information helps you plan and write essay number 4. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to email me. Have a great day.